Thursday, August 16, 2016. For those that have not had the pleasure of attending said meeting before, the way things work is after we're done doing the roll call and approving the minutes, city staff presents on an item. After they're done presenting, it's opened up just to the commission for technical questions. Once we're done with technical questions, we close that and go to public comment. If you have a comment or a question or something to say, we ask that you step up to the microphone and state your name and address so we have it for the minutes. And please try to keep your comments as relevant to the topic as possible. It helps move things along. Having said that, let's call the roll. Also, please turn your cell phones to silent if you haven't already.
David Borsak.
Present.
Ed Bowen. Jeffrey Tones.
Here.
Thomas Freitag.
Here.
John Hintz. Steve Cummings.
Here.
Kathleen Kropp. Here. Donna Laurie. Robert Weigert.
Here.
Carl Nollenberger.
In attendance.
All right, moving on to the approval of the minutes from the August 2nd, rather lengthy document. Any additions, corrections, deletions to said minutes?
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Yes, you do.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Moving on, item number 1, accept right-of-way easement at 627 Bayshore Drive.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Welcome, sir.
The City of Oshkosh is requesting acceptance of a right-of-way easement to improve access to the boat launch located at the end of Mill Street. Here's an aerial view of the subject site, which consists of a commercial property to the west of the Mill Street boat launch. The general area consists of residential and commercial uses. Mill Street is included in the 2016 Capital Improvement Program for reconstruction. During the design, the property owners of the subject property offered to grant an easement to improve the access to the boat launch. The proposed 10-foot wide right-of-way easement will run 62 feet along Mill Street and allow for a larger cul-de-sac vault to be constructed. The larger cul-de-sac will improve the ability of vehicles to turn around without reversing, and the easement will allow for curb and gutter, pavement, signage, snow storage, and any other typical right-of-way use to occur in this area. And here's the right-of-way easement. And staff recommends approval of the acceptance of the proposed easement as requested.
All right, thank you. Technical questions? David.
I think when this came up in the Capital Improvements Program that there was some concern about from the owners regarding access, driveway access to some loading docks or something. Has that been addressed?
The loading dock, the formal loading dock issue has been addressed. Since that point in time, there's kind of an informal loading dock that is a pedestrian access, is a pedestrian man door that we're still working through some issues on.
Thank you.
Other technical questions? All right, seeing none, anyone here from the public to speak to this item? Once, twice, 3 times, back to the commission.
Move approval. Second.
Questions on the motion? Okay, call the roll, please.
Cummings.
Aye.
Kropp.
Aye.
Weigert.
Aye.
Nollenberger.
Aye.
Borsak.
Aye.
Bowen.
Aye.
Tones.
Aye.
I read it.
Freitag.
Aye.
Wasn't here for it.
Motion carried 8-0.
All right, moving on, item number 2, accept storm sewer easement at 3300 North Main.
Thank you. The Department of Public Works is requesting acceptance of a 30-foot wide storm sewer easement from the Wisconsin Public Service at 3300 North Main Street. And here's the subject site, which is a 3.84 acre property located on the east side of North Main Street, north of East Furno Avenue. A Wisconsin Public Service facility is located on the site, which includes parking and loading areas. The Department of Public Works is seeking approval of a storm sewer easement from Wisconsin Public Service that will run along the west property line and connect to an existing drainage easement. The proposed easement is necessary to construct a storm sewer as part of the storm water management plan for the Furno Avenue watershed. To reduce flooding impacts, the city is constructing a regional stormwater detention basin adjacent to the north branch of the drainage way within the watershed. During the design of the detention basin and related improvements, it became apparent that flow water within the watershed could be improved by enclosing a portion of the drainage way. The new alignment will improve the flow of runoff through the ditch which will reduce the damage to the North Main Street pavement and reduce the erosion within the drainage way. And here's the easement document. And staff recommends approval of the storm sewer easement as proposed.
All right. Technical questions? Seeing none. Anyone here from the public to speak to this item today? Okay, back to the commission.
Second.
Questions on the motion? All right. Call the roll.
Cummings,
Aye.
Crop,
Aye.
Weigert,
Aye.
Nolenberger,
Aye.
Boyce,
Aye.
Bowen,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Wojtek.
Aye.
Carried 8-0.
Okay, now moving on to something fun. Item number 3, the East Facade Architectural Review for the development of a community fitness center at 324 Washington Avenue, the YMCA Downtown Center.
The YMCA plan development was reviewed by the Plan Commission on June 6, 2016, with the following condition. Each facade wall be enhanced to provide architectural interest and be brought back to the Plan Commission for final approval. The area includes, the plan development request consists of 4.1 acre parcel of land at 324 Washington Avenue. It is a large development area roughly bound by Washington Avenue. It is a large development area roughly bound by Washington Avenue on the south, Roe Park and Madison Street on the west, an office building and Broad Street on the east, and single-family, two-family, and multi-family residences to the north. The site has been the location of the YMCA since the early 1960s. The structure is designed as a 37-foot tall, two-story building with entrances on all sides, with the formal entrance being located on the north facade facing the parking lot. The exterior building material is proposed to be a combination of brick, corrugated, and composite metal panel systems, transparent and spandrel glass, translucent wall system, and precast concrete panels. The north facade facing the parking lot is predominantly brick and corrugated metal panel systems, incorporating extensive transparent doors and windows along the entire facade, including a large vertical bank of windows above the main entrance. The south facade facing Washington Avenue is dominated by a translucent wall system and transparent glass, accented by a brick knee wall, and includes a second corrugated metal panel system, broken up by additional spandrel glass. The west facade facing Roe Park is a mix of transparent and spandrel glass, brick, and corrugated metal panel system, with the glass making up the majority of the facade. The original proposal for the eastern facade was primarily precast concrete panels broken up by a series of second-story windows and a set of smaller first-floor windows. The current proposal for the eastern facade is a combination of precast concrete panels. The first story includes precast concrete panels with exposed aggregate finish, and the second story includes precast concrete panels with light sandblasted finish. The second story is broken up by a series of windows, and the previous proposal indicated square windows, and the current proposal indicates rectangular windows. There are 3 smaller windows in the first story. Let's see. Okay. There are 3 smaller windows in the first story. The original proposal includes 17 windows, and the current proposal includes 11 rectangular windows. While the number of windows has been reduced, the percentage of window openings is comparable to the original. Additionally, staff believes that the change in shape from square to rectangle enhances the appearance of the eastern facade. The north and south end of the east facade will remain the same, including the glass, utility brick, and composite metal panel system. The east facade is 15 to 25 feet away from the concrete block building on the property to the east, and the first 10 feet of the east facade extending from Washington Avenue will be brick and glass. Staff believes the proposed eastern facade reflects the city's development and planning policies and enhances the appearance of the area by making a positive contribution to the physical appearance of the land uses and buildings in the community. Staff believes condition number 4 indicated in Resolution 16363 has been satisfied.
All right. Technical questions? Oh, we got something.
I'm gonna herniate myself here,
Easy,
so it's,
buddy.
there it is. So that's the bottom.
Could you hold it up a bit?
Above your head.
As show and tell goes on, any technical questions? Ed?
I have one technical question, and it's for Darren. Do you, in your office, have a color copier?
No.
It drives me absolutely bonkers
you get
when
to
you
stand-
ask us to look at these
those
renderings and
scanned?
facade things in like black and white grainy
Hold
stuff.
on, let's take a step
I know
back.
we get it via PDF. I'm just saying it's not necessarily possible for everybody to look at that.
It's
So,
not in the budget, and that's, color copier is kind of
but if
pricey.
we're looking at facade stuff, we're looking at
Oh.
elevation stuff.
Would you color it in for each one that gets sent to us?
Please.
You got crayons?
We can get-
Sorry, I've harped on this before, and I'll continue to harp on it. So
Other technical questions or
put-
grants?
that's my technical question.
Jeff?
So this is,
Well,
halfway up is the aggregate,
yeah,
and the other half is up, and then the oblong windows are in that side.
correct.
That's completely different from what it was before. It was
Not complete-
Was it
well-
all one piece before? One color?
But it,
Yeah, it was all one.
It was all one,
all-
right? Yeah, okay.
Other technical questions? Okay, seeing none, anyone here from the public to speak to this?
do we have color, do we have color rendering when the Y originally came in? I thought we had a presentation that
they-
did have.
We did.
I thought they provided it.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
I believe so.
they did.
I think.
Okay.
All right. Seeing none, come back to the commission.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All right, call the roll, please, Deb.
Cummings?
Aye.
Crop? Aye. Weigert?
Aye.
Nolenberger?
Aye.
Boyce?
Aye.
Bowen?
Aye.
Thanks.
Jones?
Hi.
Wojtek?
Aye.
Motion carried, 8-0.
Okay, moving on to item number 4, amendment of conditional use permit and plan development for university reuse of former Lincoln Elementary School site at 608 Algoma Boulevard.
This particular item was laid over from the August 2nd Plan Commission meeting in order to obtain additional direction on the options to ensure compliance with the recommended conditions. At the end of the presentation, staff has included a few additional conditions that the Plan Commission could consider recommending should you choose. I'll quickly review the item and then go through the additional conditions. The approximate 2.14 acre subject's property is located at 608 Algoma Boulevard, which used to house Lincoln Elementary School. The subject's property is zoned R2 PD, so 2-family residential with a planned development overlay. Surrounding uses include the University of Wisconsin Oshkosh campus and single and multiple family residences. In 2010, a conditional use permit and plan development was approved by the Common Council to allow the University of Wisconsin Oshkosh to house their Division of Lifelong Learning and Community Engagement and the Children's Learning and Care Center at the subject property. In 2013, the Common Council approved an amendment to the 2010 approved request to extend the time frame to complete the parking lot reconstruction and reconfiguration of the Wisconsin Street driveway access to right in, right out until the end of 2015. Today, the petitioner is requesting to amend the previously approved conditional use permit and plan development to once again extend the time frame permitted for the reconstruction of the parking lot and Wisconsin Street driveway access until the end of 2017 calendar year. At the last meeting, the petitioner indicated that they were working with the state of Wisconsin to identify a consultant to complete the design and construction plans for the required parking lot and driveway improvements. I had passed out copies of minutes from a pre-construction meeting that was held yesterday for your review. The meeting minutes do include a tentative timeline for the completion of the project, but please note that the proposed timeline is very aggressive. The petitioner has also indicated that delays in construction are due to the approval process dictated by the state of Wisconsin. The University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh was unable to move forward with this particular project due to a backlog of other projects currently being completed on campus. With that being said, staff is recommending approval of the requested amendment to extend the time frame to complete parking lot improvements and improvements to the Wisconsin Street driveway access to the end of calendar year 2017. Additionally, staff has come up with 3 additional conditions that the Plan Commission could consider. So on the screen are those 3 conditions that could be recommended should you choose, and I'll go through them each individually. The first would be that plans for the parking lot reconstruction shall be reviewed and approved by the Plan Commission prior to any zoning permit issuance or site reconstruction commencing on the subject property. The second would be the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh shall hold a neighborhood meeting at least 10 days prior to the item being scheduled for the Plan Commission review and notice all adjacent property owners. And the third is in January of 2018, staff is instructed to start the revocation process for the conditional use permit for use of the subject property should the site improvements not be completed by the end of 2017. So those are the 3 additional conditions that the Plan Commission could consider adding in addition to extending the time frame of the reconstruction project. I know at the last meeting you had talked about revoking the use of parking altogether on the site until the parking lot is reconstructed. However, that would be a breach of our zoning ordinance, which does require there to be on-site parking for this particular use. So we are trying to balance the ability to encourage compliance with the conditions and ultimately get the items addressed, and then also noting the fact that the university has had challenges with getting the project approved based on the process that's dictated by the state of Wisconsin. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you guys for discussion.
Thank you, Liz. Technical questions, Jeff?
Yeah, the additional 3, can you explain each one, the reasoning behind it? I mean, I get the last one, but the item number, 3 and 4, which I can't read, sorry.
Yep. So the first one, there were concerns raised in terms of what the parking lot design was going to look like should it move forward. It does need to meet code standards in this particular district. However, because of the concerns, staff felt like it was necessary to have the Plan Commission be able to review the proposed plans prior to it moving forward with construction. So it just gives you an opportunity to have an additional look at what they would be doing to reconstruct the parking lot over there. And chances are, potentially, they may need base standard modifications for what they're proposing to do anyway, given that it's a complete reconstruct of the parking lot. And then the second one that we were adding, again, because this does back up to residential properties, we felt it was important for the petitioner to go out and consult with the neighbors in that district to inform them as to what was going to be occurring in their backyard, and then additionally to provide additional input should they choose to the design. And then the third, the ability for the city to revoke or go through the process of revoking the conditional use permit should these conditions, again, not be completed by the end of 2017.
Did you talk to the petitioner about these 3?
I did talk to the petitioner today about these, yes.
What was their comments?
They seemed amendable to the conditions that we were proposing. But I would let them speak on behalf of the university.
Ed, did you have a question, or you just?
Yeah, maybe I'm misunderstanding it. It says in the third one, in January of 2017.
It should be 18.
That's what I was going to say. I was like,
It's 18.
I thought maybe the process takes a year or something.
No.
Okay, but
No,
that's what it would be.
the end of 2018, correct, yep.
David?
So, condition 5 would be that it would be
In January of 2018.
or 18, but that the net outcome potential is that the building would have to be taken out of use.
Yes,
Correct.
correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Other technical questions? Okay, seeing none. Anyone here to speak to this item today? Chancellor Levitt.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Levitt. I live at 1423 Congress Avenue here in Oshkosh. I'm also the Chancellor of the University of Wisconsin, Oshkosh, and it's my duty today to come before you to express my profound regret and send my apology from the university to this commission that we were not able to get this done in 6 years, which I think is not excusable. So you have our full attention on this. You certainly have mine, and I can assure you that this project will be completed. We have the funds on hand. It's a top priority at the institution, and we're going to get this accomplished. And we certainly are very agreeable and amenable to the 3 additional conditions that have been offered today. We certainly we have to work very hard to restore your trust in us. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for the Chancellor? First Kathy, then David.
I'm sorry I wasn't here at the last meeting. Is the building fully reconstructed, repurposed? Yes. Inside?
Yes, ma'am, it is. We have the Child Center as well as lifelong learning and continuing education in there. We have just now completing the playground. We moved it to the opposite side of the building, which will enable us to move forward with the design and construction of the parking lot.
Okay, good. So the parking lot is the last step.
That's right.
David.
This is a process question, because this went back to 2010, and there was at least in one continuance after that, was is there something in place at least to prevent that? I can't, it's hard for me to understand if there was a process, internal process that was missed.
Right.
Whether timelines or, and at least it could have been designed so that you had something in your pocket good to go.
Right. I would comment, and then I would ask my colleague Joanne Reif to comment. We have gone through an unprecedented period of building on our campus in the last 5 years, I'm sure you're very aware of. But I would say the biggest change in the process is you have a new chancellor. And this chancellor is embarrassed that one of our greatest partners that we have is the city of Oshkosh and that we've not met our obligations. And so that's the change in the process, is that we'll make sure that we meet our obligations now and in the future. Yeah. Joanne, please, for the process.
Thank you.
So I'm Joanne Reif. I'm the Director of Planning and Construction. The office location is 650 Witzel Avenue here in Oshkosh. Regarding the process overall, we have to, as I had mentioned last time, is the process where we have to submit our projects overall. We get an architectural engineering team on board. They have to reevaluate the budget. They have to then develop the project overall. At that point in time, the funds that were available for the project that had been approved through the state in their process of going through the capital budget plan, and the project that were listed on that and the funding that was available meant that we only had enough money to be able to redo the interior of the building. We had to come back and have funding to be able to then submit the next 2 in phases of the project overall. That's what they have allowed us to do with the funding that we have coming from the state and from the program revenue that these programs generate overall. Parking is another portion of that, so we ended up, and we have to do the processes in projects in order. They don't allow us generally to bring a project forward to start the design of it until the other projects are already in construction. And the process that we have to go through and the timeline of meeting the State Building Commission meetings overall, which have changed in their time frame of when they hold meetings. They used to be on a monthly basis, and we could count on that. I think in the last year they've had 3 meetings overall. So it's been very problematic for us to get our projects in on a time frame to be able to accomplish the projects. So that's where we're at, why we're at where we're at today. Any questions?
Are there other questions for Joanne?
I have one for Joanne. Hey, Joanne, we've had some concerns about the dumpsters and the dumpster enclosure. Now, the parking lot, when you rebuild and come back for the reconstruct, you're going to have the enclosure on there.
Yes, we've directed the architectural team that they have to, as part of this design process, they have to be able to incorporate the dumpster enclosures with the four-sided enclosure, as it's called in the zoning codes.
The one issue that we've had is they've been parked out here for the longest time.
Yes, they have,
So
and we've been working on
That's
that.
raised some, yeah, I understand that. So that's raised some concerns. I think you've moved them over here. When school comes back into session, will they remain over here? Because if they have to come back over here, the same set of concerns are going to be raised again about.
Yeah, the reason that we located them where we did was that because it doesn't then block the parking and the drive access for any of the vehicles, yet it doesn't put them in a location where they're going to disrupt the pathway for the children from the daycare to get to the playground area as well, so we won't have that cross problem. So at this point, until we can determine where that dumpster enclosure will be on the site, then we are planning on leaving them there during the semesters.
Here, you mean?
No.
Oh, back here.
Back here.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So they weren't, okay, great.
So we intend to leave them there until we can get the project done. Anything else?
Anything else for Joanne? Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else here to speak to this item today? Come on up, Mr. Pitts.
I'm Bernie Pitts, live at 617 West Irwin. I'm probably the one that caused part of this problem by objecting to the hoppers sitting in front of my apartment buildings. I own the properties across Lincoln School on Wisconsin Avenue. I objected this for up to these dumpsters sitting there for 6 years, and finally they got them moved. I think it's a long time to have to, my tenants had to look at dumpsters. I'm sure none of you people would want them sitting in your front yard. Now, right now, the state of Wisconsin, or university, says that they submitted the plans to be approved by the state, but on those plans, they don't show where those dumpsters are going to be put. They also don't show what the future expansion is going to be on that former playground. And then they have another place where it says to remain as is future TBC. In 2010, I came before the council and objected to the entrance coming off of Wisconsin Avenue and said it would be great. They like to have that many cars pass in front of their buildings. Why not bring it off the old Union Street, which still exists, and Algoma Boulevard? And at that time, the university people said, well, they got their playground there to the north of where they would come in, and they would have to cross that entrance to get to the playground. Well, that no longer exists. They moved the playground, or are moving the playground to Algoma Street. So there is absolutely no reason they couldn't move their entrance coming off of Union and Algoma Boulevard, that 100 and some odd cars, in fact, it's 111 parking places, would be coming off of Union Street rather than off of Wisconsin Avenue. At the time, in 2010, when this came to the council passed an ordinance, or resolution, or ordinance, whatever you want to call it, that the only way they could enter that property was a right in and right out. That's not being adhered to. Even the university staff people are turning left, going when they're traveling north, traveling left and turning into that facility. In fact, even the university police department. The school buses have been doing it. I have mentioned this to the zoning and planning office several times. At that council meeting, the question was asked, what happens if they don't obey by the right in, right out? And the reply came back from the zoning and planning office, the person that was representing them, that they would lose their PD. Now, I have made a report of it going many times, and nothing happens. Is this that certain people get anything they want and don't have to abide by it? Now, I'm not objecting to them using this for a parking lot. I'm objecting to what has transpired. There was no need to put those dumpsters on Wisconsin Avenue for 6 years. And it was only moved after I went to a council meeting and said at the council meeting, 6 years, or I said 3 years at the council meeting. They've been there for 3 years, I said at the council meeting, when they actually had been there 6 years. And I said that on a Tuesday, and by Friday morning, they were moved. But it took 6 years to get it done. And now, I'm sure there is nobody sitting in this room that would tolerate those kind of dumpsters with the covers back, slamming all the time. In fact, I even complained many, many months ago that they were picking these up at 5 o'clock in the morning and banging them out there. Now, I live over 2 blocks, and we can hear it clean over on Irving Street. I think that is totally irresponsible actions by the university. And I think things like that have to be rectified. But I do suggest that you look at bringing them in off of Union and Algoma. Then it'll be in front of their own buildings. It's their own people that could complain, that my tenants wouldn't have to complain to what's going on. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Pitts. Anybody else here from the audience to speak to this item today? All right, seeing none, back to the commission. Thoughts? Yes, Carl.
Yeah, I think they've addressed the issues that we raised at the last meeting, and they've done so satisfactorily. I'm ready to move forward on it. I move the approval. With the condition.
With the new condition.
Including the 3 additional.
With the additional, all 5.
So it's been moved and seconded. Discussion on that motion. Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Aye.
Rob?
Aye?
Weigert?
Aye.
Wallenberger? Borzak?
Aye.
Bowen?
Aye.
Holmes?
Aye.
Wojtek?
Aye.
Carried 8-0.
All right, moving on to item number 5, determine necessity and authorization to acquire property at 2240 Westtown Avenue. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You are welcome, sir. The Department of Public Works is requesting approval for a land acquisition off of a property located at 2240 Westtown Avenue. On the screen, I have a aerial photo showing the subject site. The parent parcel is a 2.88 acre parcel, which contains a multi-use commercial building containing Shell gas station and convenience store, and a McDonald's restaurant with drive-through. And the site also has off-street parking areas, car wash, southwest corner, and dumpster enclosures. The Department of Public Works is looking to acquire the easternmost of the property, which is approximately 1/2 acre in size, in order to expand an existing stormwater basin just to the south of it, located within public right-of-way. In 2015, the city received a grant that will cover approximately half the cost of the engineering and construction of the proposed basin. The Westtown, or this pond, is located within the Westtown watershed and is the 4th highest generator of pollutants in the city. The proposed improvements will virtually double the size of the existing basin and increase the removal of pollutants from 12% with the existing basin to 73% with the expanded basin. If approved, a certified survey map will be required for the land division to occur after approval of the land acquisition by the Common Council. Once the land is divided, Public Works will have to come back before this board for review of a conditional use permit for construction of the basin, and will be sent forward to the Common Council for final approval. The proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive land use plan. Stormwater basins are a necessity for street and commercial developments, and staff is in support of the land acquisition as proposed. Technical questions? I have one. It already looks like it's a secondary
Drainage.
drain. Was it sort of that way, or who?
Steve will be able to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Currently, that area is the dry detention for the site as it developed. The area where the current wet basin is the former Westtown right-of-way prior to the realignment with the Washburn project.
Other technical questions, Ed? And then Kathy.
So the the portion that you'd be acquiring is the current detention facility for the site.
Correct.
So will that continue to serve the site in addition to serving municipal purposes, I guess?
Yes, that's one of the negotiations we have to work out, is allowing them to continue to use that site for their quantity and quality of that site going forward, because we're effectively removing any surface area they have to do that.
Right, I'm just trying to, is that can you name any other, I guess, instances that we've got that in the city where we sort of have a shared, the city and the property owner themselves sort of cooperate on that?
The Armory site has that, where we did take over some of the Armory's detention.
Behind Best Buy and...
Yes.
Okay.
That site has it, and other than ones that the city's developed more as a regional one, I can't think of any other ones off the top of my head.
Okay.
Kathy?
Is the property owner cooperating in this?
To this point, it has been cooperative. We've had discussions with them about it. We are following the process of the state for the eminent domain process. In the event things don't go well, we are then covered to go back and go this route, versus if we would start down the negotiations and then try to backtrack, we can actually make ourselves set back in the eminent domain process and could actually cost ourselves substantial amounts of money.
Okay, I thought I recognized the language, so
Yes.
I hope it does continue cooperatively.
We do too. It's just this is the step that allows us to discuss price. Without this, we can't discuss any dollar amounts.
Jeffrey?
If you have to go down the road of eminent domain, how does that affect then that property's ability to drain off their water?
It's a good question. I can't answer at this moment.
Because
But they may not be likely to be as cooperative as
but
what you might be able to read into that?
Well, the trouble I have is that we're affecting an existing several businesses if we go down that path for the public use, but then we're affecting that business to where they now can't comply with our rules. That doesn't make sense to me.
There would be other options for them to be able to comply in the future if that were the case. Permeable pavements, that type of situation. Underground storage would allow them to comply in the future if that area were not available to them. Not nearly as cost-effective as open detention, but it depends on the price of
that would be at a substantial cost to them for something that we're causing them to have to do.
Correct. And at this point in time, I want to make sure we are not seeking the authorization to acquire. That is the step that has to come back through the council in order to do that. So this is just determining the necessity. So we can't even go down the next step without coming back through for formal.
Steve, I'm only want to make sure that we all understand what we're talking about here, because that really does bother me, that we're affecting potentially affecting a business that
is compliant right now.
Yeah, that is compliant right now, and they're going to force them to be potentially force them to be out of compliant and or spend a considerable amount of money to be in compliant when they were already compliant.
Ed?
To the necessity question, I guess, clearly, being an engineer, you've followed the engineering, and this site you have determined to be the best, sort of likeliest candidate in this area to assist in this process? Or I guess maybe the background here is, how did you land on this particular piece of the property?
If you look at how the drainage is set up and where the heavy commercial sites are that have developed previously without the wet stormwater management facilities for water quality, they are draining through this area. It then turns north out of this area and actually crosses under Highway 21 and goes north out toward Lake Butamore. So this is really
That's kind of going It's coming from the south?
Coming from the west and south, and
Okay.
then headed north out across, basically just west of the roundabout, through kind of that vacant area of right-of-way, and then headed, believe it crosses underneath the street on the town side, which I'm drawing a blank on the exact name of. Is that Old Amaro Road
Old
still at
Amaro
that
Road.
point? Or
Is it Abraham or?
Or Abraham, I'm not
Yeah,
sure what the
that's
actual name at the
one of
intersection.
those.
But I believe it crosses under there and then heads to the...
And this is surface flow, or this is, I guess, what specifically are we talking about?
The water currently does, most of the water, or all of the water that we're going to treat actually gets there already. It's just getting into the basin, and if you've noticed, that basin fills very quickly in a small event and drains down relatively quickly and then discharges it out. By increasing the size of the basin, we can increase that retention time, allow more particulate to settle out, and
Okay.
increase the efficiency of the basin tremendously.
So this is the goal here, and I'm sorry, Jeff, I'm
No, that's all right.
stepping all over you.
No, that's all right.
The goal of this exercise is to address the suspended solids, not necessarily to address downstream or flooding downstream or anything like that.
The goal of this is primarily water quality. Will it have some flood control benefits?
Sure, yeah, it's holding
Yes.
onto it for a little bit.
Yes,
But if it's allowing it to sit there, it'll filter it out as it sits, okay?
Back to Jeff.
Following up on Ed's point, what was the alternative? You say, where was the alternative site? You said it actually flows to the north, vacant right-of-way, so why isn't the vacant right-of-way a useful area for this detention pond?
It's not big enough, and I believe there are several utilities in that area as well.
Is that the,
Is it in that area, or is it
It's-
on the other side?
No, it's the area just to the right of where Jeff was not, yeah, yep.
There.
No, that's actually, that's not available. That's state-controlled right-of-way through that area. I don't believe we'd have the ability to build a detention basin on the area to where you're just pointing, Jeff, there.
also in the town?
That is, portions of it may be in the town or city without the city limit line on there, I'm not sure. But it's a much smaller area. We don't get the benefit of having the basin immediately beside it to increase the area. Once we'd have side slopes going in all directions on that little area, and wouldn't gain the ability of the additional space that we have in the basin to the south. So essentially, two small ponds in series are much less effective on the same square footage of surface area than a larger basin.
Answer your question, sir?
For now. I'll wait till it comes back.
All right, any other technical questions? Okay, seeing none, anyone here from the public to speak to this item today? Besides us? David?
One, I'm going to support it, and two, I look at this process, and every time we've had this process, we've had similar questions of why we follow this drill. And this is just one of many of several steps that we have to do to enable the city to negotiate. And that's all it is allowing them to negotiate. And whatever the downstream steps are or outcomes are, at least we have this statutory requirement in a sense to allow the city to progress, to proceed.
Get another crack at this. Chuck?
And David, I get what you're talking about, and I understand this is a preliminary, and I'm going to support the preliminary, but I just wanted to point out some of the things that we got to look at, okay? And if this comes back and we have to go down the less desirable path, let's call it, that's where, there's going to be much more resistance on my part to look at what the city alternative is, whether it be putting in underground storage themselves and allowing that detention basin to stay, or assisting that property owner to put in a compliant retention pond, whatever it is.
Right. Because
I don't think we can adversely affect them, to force them out of compliance when they're in compliance because we want to take something for public use. So That's the only thing I was getting at. I understand this process, and I'm going to support this because it does allow them to do the negotiation, which they need to move forward on.
Other discussion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, call the roll, please, Deb.
Cummings?
Aye.
Crop?
Aye.
Weigert?
Aye.
Nollenberger?
Aye.
Forsythe?
Aye.
Bowen?
Aye.
Holmes?
Aye.
Gotta be moved.
Wojtek?
Aye.
Motion carried 8-0.
All right, do we have other business before we adjourn to workshop?
Just as a quick note, on August 31st, we'll be having an open house on the zoning ordinance. That'll be over at the senior center. I'm not sure of the time.
Are we
right
going to
now.
get some kind of formal notification of that?
Yeah, you'll get some. I just alerting you right now, 6 to 8. I think it's 6 to 8. We'll get. It might even be on our webpage right now, but the consultant will be up. So we're figuring out ways that we can get out to various groups so we can get people in the room to talk with the consultant. So just letting you guys know.
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Is that a Thursday? 31st?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, on to workshop mode.
We have a workshop.